Hey, what's up, people? What's up? Welcome to another episode of Trap No More podcast. I pray you guys are having a great day today. Hope you had a great weekend. Man, it's just man, whoo, it's still hot down here in Southern California, but I'm loving it, man, as this weather starts to transition over to the fall season. Man, I love the fall season. I'm looking forward to it, especially in my line of work. Having to work outside for like 12 hours during the day. Yeah, you definitely want some cooler weather, right? But I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I'm blessed abundantly. Hey, if you haven't hit the subscribe, be sure to hit the subscribe. Be sure to hit the like, hit the comment. Yeah, jump in the comments, man. I like commenting with you, man. And throughout the podcast, if you have any questions, you want to give a shout out or something, man, put that in there. Me and my guests will, we would love to conversate with you. We'd love to acknowledge you. Thank you for all your support. Man, I am grateful for all of yous, and just for tapping in, man. I know right now you guys could be doing something different, but you guys chose to be here with us. So I appreciate that. So without any further ado, man, we're going to jump right into today's guest because he has a great story. I've been following this brother, I want to say maybe about a year now on social media. And he just always puts out some positive stuff out there when he does put it out there. I know he's been down some of the roads that I've been down and some of the struggles. And at the same time, man, he's walking in the blessings that God provides. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him on, and let's welcome him to our platform. And let me see. Okay, there you are. Hold on, real quick. Let me see. What the heck? All right, there we go, man. What's up, brother Jim? How you doing, brother?
I'm blessed, my brother. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
I am good, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to join this platform. I appreciate you, man. Really do.
No, it's my pleasure, bro. My pleasure. I'm always appreciative of an opportunity to share what the Lord has done in my life. So I really do appreciate you having me on. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, bro. And I know your story, man. You got a powerful story. You've been through a lot in life. And man, whoo, it's hard to come out from that side and walk in the blessings that we're walking in, man. But you're doing it, and it's very encouraging. It always keeps me uplifted, keeps me motivated. And I'm sure the platform would appreciate your story. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it, bro. If you don't mind taking us back to your younger days and share with us what it was like, in your neighborhood, in your home, tell us about your brothers, sisters, whatever God puts upon your heart, brother. So
For
go
sure.
ahead, bro.
Amen.
It's all you.
Yeah. Amen. What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you taking this time. As the brother said, you could be doing a whole lot of other things. So I appreciate that you're here with us and giving me an opportunity to share with you all. So my name is Jim McGrath. I am 55 years old. I am born and raised in the Antelope Valley area of Southern California. If you're not familiar with Antelope Valley, it's the northern part of LA County. It's the most north and east part of LA County. Let's say if you was coming from LA, going towards the valley, towards San Fernando Valley, heading towards Magic Mountain, you would keep coming a little bit north past Magic Mountain. I'm about a half hour from Magic Mountain. I was born in the city of Lancaster, raised in the city of Palmdale. I was raised in a single parent home. My mom and my dad divorced when I was very small, maybe about 3 years old, 4 years old. I do have a younger brother. It's actually his birthday tomorrow. Quick shout out to my brother, Eddie. Happy birthday, bro. Love you. God bless you. He's a couple years younger than myself. So yeah, I was raised in a single parent household. You might look at me and think, who's this goofy white guy? I'm actually only half white. My mom is Mexican. My mom's family is from Texas. Her parents are from Chihuahua, Mexico. So I was raised by a single working Mexican mother. Went to Catholic school. Started off, going to first grade. Was raised Catholic. Was going to Catholic school. Mom's did the best she could. Mom's was a grinder. Mom's got her work on. She was a hairstylist. She started off working in somebody's hair salon and worked her way up to owning her own salon and still making sure, that my brother and I were taken care of. She did have help from my grandmother on my dad's side. So that's really what our family consisted of. My mom did remarry when I was about 5 or 6. And that gentleman is really who I learned my values of what a man is supposed to be, what a marriage is supposed to be like. I learned from him. Unfortunately, the example he set was not it was not a Christian example. It was not even a good example. He was out of the Bakersfield area, so we would go to visit his family a lot. There was violence in our home. He was very abusive to my mother and to my brother and I. With my brother and I, there was no physical violence. It was verbal. But with my mom, there was physical violence. So at a very young age, I saw these things. And when you're in that young formative mindset, what you see is what you believe to be true, what you believe to be right. So I started off thinking that violence was the way you handled problems. I thought that violence was the way you solved um, conflicts, disagreements. I thought violence was a tool that you used to show your displeasure. And as a little boy, as a young kid, that was instilled in me, and it really started to manifest itself. I want to say the first time I exhibited violence really was around 8 years old, and we were visiting my stepdad's family in Bakersfield. And when we would go, his nieces and nephews, my step cousins, would pick on my brother and I, make fun of us because we didn't speak Spanish, because we were half white, because we were from a small town. They would pick on us a lot and clown us and all that. And a point came where I just wasn't going to stand for it anymore. Like I said, I was about 8 years old. And I clearly remember this incident where one of my step cousins was doing the usual things they do, picking on us, clowning us. And I just reached back and fired on him, busted him straight in the nose, actually busted his nose. Blood squirted everywhere. And him and my other cousins, from that point forward, never messed with us again. So in my young mind, I rationalized that violence earned me respect. Violence was good. It helped me get what I wanted, which was to be left alone. Of course, now I understand that that's in fact not the case. Violence does not bring respect whatsoever. But that life lesson was in my 8-year-old brain. And I continued on from there. Like I said, I was going to Catholic school at this time, would start getting in fights at school. My mom was doing the best she can, but she was naive to a lot of things. Like most parents, our kids are perfect. They can do no wrong. Oh, no, that's somebody else's kid. My kid wouldn't do that. So I got suspended from school a few times in elementary for fighting. Made my way into junior high, kind of with the same thing, in the neighborhood out here where I was from. When I grew up, I was born in 1970. So I was a little kid in the 70s, became a bigger kid in the 80s and a teenager in the 80s. Growing up, there was not gangs out here in the AV. There was a little bit of drug activity, but not, of course, nothing like it is now. But it didn't really become drug infested, and gang activity didn't really kick off till around the mid 80s. But I'll get to that in a little bit. So still through elementary, I'm going to Catholic school, getting a foundation in the teachings of Catholicism, but never really gravitating towards it, never really like developing a relationship with God, never really developing a relationship with Jesus, but just learning some of the basics, like in most Hispanic families, people, are raised Catholic, go to church on Sunday, do your thing Monday through Saturday, and then back to church on Sunday again, do your Hail Marys, whatever, go about your life, right? You're not really, at least I wasn't really taught about a relationship with Jesus. So I didn't really have that in my life as a kid or going into my teenage years. We got into breakdancing out here. The breakdancing craze hit out here in the Antelope Valley in the early 80s. So I got into that. I was part of a breakdancing crew. We used to battle at the skating rink. We used to battle other crews. Sometimes crews from the Valley or LA would come out here, or we would go out there. We'd go to Hollywood. We'd go to Santa Monica Pier, do our little breakdancing thing. And I know I'm kind of jumping ahead, and I apologize. I'm moving kind of fast. By this time, I've already started high school, and I'm going to Palmdale High now. Now I'm going to regular public school. I'm not going to private school no more. Really, and before high school started, most of the kids in the neighborhood where I grew up at went to public school. They didn't go to private school. They went to public school. So that was most of the people I was already hanging out with anyway. I had lots of friends at the private school. It was called St. Mary's. I had a lot of friends from St. Mary's, but didn't really like hang out with them outside of school time. I was hanging out more with the regular kids in the neighborhood. So when I left private school and started public school, which was high school, ninth grade, I already knew a lot of people. I already knew, a lot of the kids that were there. So it was real easy to blend in and fit in with them. Like I said, we were doing the little breakdancing thing. And that's what it really was, bro. I wasn't really getting in too much trouble other than a fight here and there, At that time, I wasn't using drugs yet. Maybe started drinking a little bit. And again, these are things that I've seen in the home. My stepdad used to drink a lot. I saw that as being normal, as being okay, because that's what the example that was being set for me. My mom and my stepdad had divorced when I was around 13 years old. And in my mind, I started looking at it like there was something wrong with me, right? So this is important for any of the fathers that are listening, for the mothers too, but really for the dads out there. Stay involved in your children's life, even if it doesn't work out with you and your kid's mom, your wife, girlfriend, whoever she may be. Stay connected with your children, because having my birth father walk out on us and not having a relationship with him, and then my mom and my stepdad, the only dad that I had known, getting divorced, I started looking inward like something's wrong with me. Why are the men that are in my life, that are supposed to be my role models, that are supposed to be teaching me how to be a man, that are supposed to be teaching me about life and how to be successful, and how to do the right thing, why are they leaving? So I, as a kid, I thought, well, it's my fault. I'm doing something wrong. So that developed in me this desire to just be a people pleaser, to do whatever people wanted to do so that they wouldn't leave me, to do whatever it took to earn people's love. Love is not something that's earned. You know what I mean? Love is given. But in my young mind, I rationalized it as I had to earn it, because it wasn't coming to me in the way that, that a young boy thought it should. I had my mom there, of course, and my mom was a great mom. She loved my brother and I very much. She loves us very much. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3, to make ends meet, and do the best she can. But again, she was naive to a lot of things. She grew up in Texas in the 50s and 60s, came out here to California, didn't know anything about street life. She didn't know the signs of drug use, of gang affiliation, nothing like that. So she just thought her kids were, just being kids. The breakdancing thing, now we're into our mid-teens, 14, 15, 16, into the mid-80s. And the breakdancing thing is kind of going out of style. And now neighborhoods are starting to crop up. A lot of people at that time were moving from LA or from the San Fernando Valley out here to the Antelope Valley. And, people that were already from neighborhoods, and their parents were trying to get them away from all that. So they all started moving out here. The problem with that is all the same people were moving out here and bumping back into each other. So all the stuff that they were bringing with them was just continuing out here. And those of us that were from out here, we started tripping like, you know what I mean? Hold up. We got cats that are like trying to set up shop, and in our minds, like, no, wait a minute. This is our hometown. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to come out here doing nothing if we ain't doing nothing. So our neighborhood started up out here. And I was one of the first generation of members from our neighborhood. And I don't say it proudly, but I just say it as, part of where I come from, what I've been through, part of the testimony of what God has brought me through. So the gangbanging became in full effect out here. Started using meth. I was introduced to meth from one of my homeboys and my high school girlfriend. They introduced me to meth. Tried it one time, and it was just off from there. That became my thing. So now I'm living that life. I'm in the streets, raising my hand for anything and everything because I'm looking for that love that I didn't have from a dad. At least in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't have that love from a dad. So let me earn people's love and earn people's respect by acting a fool and just being down to do whatever, even if I knew things were wrong, even if I knew something was wrong. Because we have that in us, you know what I mean? Naturally, God has placed that in us naturally to know the difference between wrong and right. We just don't always make the right choices. So I'm like down to do whatever, just simply because I don't want to get left by nobody. You know what I mean? I want to make friends and have people that love me and care about me and keep them around. I didn't want to go through that empty feeling of people leaving me. So I developed this distorted idea of loyalty. I had this distorted idea of what loyalty was. I had this distorted idea of what family was. In gang culture, we're always taught that that becomes your family. But later on in life, we learned that that's far from the truth. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're doing our little thing now. I'm claiming the neighborhood, putting in my little work here and there, using meth, falling behind in school, doing miserable in school. I ended up getting my high school girlfriend pregnant. At this time, I'm 17 years old. And because she was pregnant, she got sent to the continuation high school. And I followed. I called my school. It's crazy. I called my school, Palmdale High, and told them, hey, I want to get transferred to the continuation school. They were more than happy to send me on my way. So I started going to continuation. I'm there with my girl. She's pregnant. We end up dropping out. And she had my son. At this time, I'm 17, getting ready to turn 18. Now I'm responsible for a child and for this woman. I have no kind of education. We're living with my mom. My mom is the one providing everything. And again, I know the difference between right and wrong. So it's weighing on me that here I have a child. I know what it's like to grow up without a dad, not have your dad be present in your life and really be the head of the family and doing what a dad should do. So I made a decision that I was going to try to get my life together and, get a job and do right, try to be a father to my son and a good man to my son's mom. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't have no education. All I know is, acting out, getting in trouble. I'm on drugs. I decided that I'm going to try to go to the military. So I went to the Marine recruiter and applied. They asked me, do you have a high school diploma? No. So I got shot down. I went to the Army recruiter. Do you have a high school diploma? No, got shot down. Air Force, same thing. Last hope, I go to the Navy recruiter. And off the top, I let him know, like, look, man, I don't got no high school diploma. He's like, that's no problem. We can take a certain amount of people that don't have a high school diploma. You just got to score higher on the entrance exam. They had like a certain percentage you had to meet that was more than what the high school graduates had to meet. So I was able to do that. I passed the test and I joined the Navy. Got married. My ex-wife and I got married. And I left to go to boot camp. I went to San Diego. Now, mind you, I'm still the same person in my way of thinking. Still thinking that violence is cool. Still thinking it's cool to be using drugs. Only thing different is that I want to try to support my family, but I haven't really changed at heart or at mind who I was. I was still that gang member. I was still that drug user, that drug addict. But just trying to be a functioning drug addict and a functioning gang member, be able to pay bills and support a child. So I go to San Diego for boot camp. I graduate boot camp, and then I go to my little training school right there in San Diego. I complete that, and then I move my, at the time, wife and my son out there to San Diego with me. We have a little apartment not too far from the base where I was stationed at, and In uniform, I'm all good. I'm doing my job, what I'm supposed to do. I'm following the rules, all that. But after hours, I'm living that same life, bro. I'm night clubbing. Right there, you'll meet in the military. It's a trip. No matter what base you get stationed at, you're gonna meet people from all over the country and all over the world. So naturally, I gravitated towards people that were similar to me. I ended up meeting up with other cholos that were, in the Navy, trying to either get their life together or just trying to make money for whatever reason they joined. And we were living that same kind of life. We were in the streets, getting into fights, using drugs. It's a trip because, of course, in the military, they drug test you occasionally. They have random drug testing. Well, I worked in the office that produced the lists of who would get tested. So I was in there letting people know, hey, your name's coming up on the list, whatever. So, and the reason I say that is so that people won't think, oh, you're making up stuff. You can't be using drugs and be in the military. Yeah, you can. There's ways around it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were doing that. So basically, I was living the same life, bro. I was bringing home a paycheck, yeah, and we had our little apartment, but I was not being the husband I was supposed to be. I was not being the father I was supposed to be. I was physically abusive towards my wife at that time. She called the cops on me a couple times. I ended up going to jail there in San Diego while I was in the Navy. The Navy would have to come and bail me out, but I was still living that same life, bro. It didn't change me. I hadn't matured to the level where I wanted to really make serious change in my life because, one, I didn't know how. And to be honest, I didn't want to at the time. I'm still 18, 19 years old, still wanting to run around, mess with girls, even though I was married, mess with girls, drink, get high, get in fights. We were literally gang banging on the base. That's just how far our minds were gone. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So a point came where I got kicked out. I got kicked out of the Navy. I didn't get a dishonorable discharge. They determined that I had personality disorders. I went through a psychiatric evaluation, and they determined that I had personality disorders. And for that, they discharged me. So what I got is called a general discharge under honorable conditions. It's not a full honorable. So when I got discharged, I had nowhere else to go. I came back home, came back out here to Palmdale, back to my mom's pad. And in my mind, it was like, okay, I'm going to, still try to do the right thing and take care of my son. I would go look for work. Couldn't find work. When people did want to hire me, they wanted to pay me minimum wage, which at the time was like $7 something an hour. I just came from earning a military paycheck, which was decent at the time, So, of course, I'm prideful. I don't want to accept nothing less. So I went back to what I know. Picked up a gun, went back to, kicking it with the homies, went back to getting high. And now here I am in the streets again. Now I'm like 19 years old, 20 years old, still involved with my son here and there, but not really, his mom and I were living separate lives. She was doing her thing. I was doing mine. Still seeing my son here and there. But was just back in the streets, bro. Was just back to the same nonsense that I had tried to get away from in the first place. Now it's 1991. I'm 21 years old. I had been in and out of the LA County jail a few times. Nothing major. Got cracked for little small stuff. Would do 90 days here, 4 months there. Never did no serious time. Never been to juvenile hall. Never made it to YA. But now I'm going to the county. And of course, I'm getting laced up by older cats in the criminal life, you know what I mean? And bringing that back out here every time I get out and in the neighborhood, our young, dumb heads, it's all about, building up the neighborhood, putting our name on the map, having our name out there just the same way that people from neighborhoods from LA and neighborhoods from the Valley, the same way they ring in the streets. We wanted that same thing. So we're out there putting in work. I was tweaked out of my mind at the time, bro. I was like 140 pounds, 135 pounds, just constantly using dope. And the arrangement that my son's mom and I had at the time was that we would alternate weekends having our son. At this time, he's like 3 years old. So it's one of my weekends. I go pick up my son, take him back to the spot where I'm staying at. At the time, I had my girlfriend, and then we had a couple of female roommates. They stayed with us. It was like a dope house. People were in and out, but me and my girlfriend like lived there. The owner of the spot didn't stay there regularly. Had another partner, him and his lady, that stayed there regularly. So on an all regular basis, it was 4 of us that lived there. Me and my partner, and then my girl and his girl. And then we had these 2 female roommates that were in and out. So on this particular weekend, it's my weekend with the baby. We're there at the pad. Nobody's there. Everybody's gone except me and the 2 roommates. And the 2 roommates asked for a ride to Taco Bell. Now, out here in the Antelope Valley, back then in the 80s, Taco Bell, the parking lot of Taco Bell is where people used to congregate. That's where people would go hang out on Friday nights, Saturday nights. There would be literally 100, 200 people in the parking lot of Taco Bell, bumping music in their cars, drinking, just kicking it. Because there wasn't really no nightclubs out here. There was house parties, but of course that many people weren't fitting at a house party. So we used to go to the parking lot of Taco Bell. I know that sounds funny to a lot of people that ain't from out here, that you'd be hanging out in the parking lot of a fast food spot, but that's where it was at. So they asked for a ride over there. I think was it a Friday night? I can't remember if it was a Friday or Saturday, but it was one of the nights that it was going to be popping. So they asked for a ride. Hey, drop us off over here at the Taco Bell. Of course, my initial reaction is like, I got my son. I can't go nowhere. Come on, just take us real quick, drop us off. Excuse me for just a minute. Let me hit this water bottle. So in my mind, I'm like, look, if you don't give these ladies a ride, they're going to look at you like a weenie. Of course, my mind is still of wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, wanting to be liked, wanting to be part of. So now this thought strikes me that, if you don't take them, they're going to think you're a weenie. They ain't going to want to mess with you. There goes your action of ever being with them. These are the dumb things that go through a 21-year-old mind. So I'm like, okay, I'll take you guys. I'll drop you off, and I'm going to come back. One of the policies that I had, and it was actually a good thing, which is kind of crazy for where my mind was at that time. But one of the policies I had was that I never took my strap and my son in the car together. If I had my son in the car, I didn't have a gun with me. If I had a gun with me, didn't take my son in the car. So at this time, I was like, okay, I'll take you guys. First, I got to go drop my son off. Now, knowing where I'm taking these girls to, knowing that it's the party spot, there's a good chance that I'm going to run into some enemies there or something, that somebody's going to trip or whatever. So I'm going to go strap. So I thought to myself, like, I'm just going to drop him off real quick. It'll be okay. So boom, we jump in the car, got my gun, got my kid, got the 2 girls, and we go. We go to my son's mom's house so I can drop him off. Right away, of course, she starts tripping on me, tripping on the girls, because it's supposed to be my weekend, whatever. I drop my son off and we bounce. So we're headed towards the spot, and we pass this liquor store, and one of my homeboys is there with he got a couple of cats with him, and they're flagging us down. They're in the parking lot, and they see me, they're flagging us down, right? So I pull in. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? And they're like, hey, we're going to this party over here on such and such street, whatever. So as soon as the girls heard party, they're like, hey, let's go to the party instead. We don't want to go talk about it. Let's go to the party. So I'm like, dang, here we go. I'm supposed to go back and pick up my son. All right, let's go to the party for a little bit, and I'll drop you guys off and I'll bounce, right? So we get to the party. It's a house party. We get there. There's probably like 50, 60 people. They got a DJ doing his thing. They got kegs of beer. Back then, house parties and keggers were what was happening. They got kegs of beer. So we get there and we're kicking it. You know what I mean? We go in, we're dancing. It's all Chicanos there. It's all gang members. It's all people from that lifestyle that are there attending the party. So that's what makes this carload of people stand out that pulled up. This carload of white people pulled up. And it's 3 dudes and a couple of females. And they get off the car, and of course they stand out. They don't look like they belong there or whatever, but I guess they had got invited or whatever. They come in, and they're selling acid. Right? One of the dudes, he's the dope man, he's selling acid. So the cats that were with my homeboy, I didn't know them. I knew him, but he had a couple of his friends with him that I just met right there on the spot, right? They're from a different neighborhood, but not a neighborhood that we had feather with, that we didn't get along with. It slips out, my boy. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Nah, let it flow, bro. Let it flow.
So some people, it wasn't like we had problems with them. So they came, we were kicking it. So now we're all there. We're there together. Back at this time, if you're at a party with somebody and if you're there with them, you know what I mean? Then you got their back and they got yours, right? So we're doing our thing. We decide to buy some acid from them. We drop the acid. We're drinking. Some time goes by. I want to say maybe like a half hour or so. Boom, I'm loaded, bro. I'm dancing. Some girls from Lennox are there. I'm dancing with them, drinking. We did acid. So now my homeboy that I know comes and tells me, hey, these fools are going to jack the dude with the acid. I'm like, all right, cool. Let them do their thing. None of my business. So they go outside. I'm still in there dancing and doing my thing. My homeboy comes running back in. He's like, hey, fool, they're outside fighting. So boom, we run out there. And one of the dudes that was with my homeboy, he has a knife out and he's got the other dude by the shirt and he's telling him, give it up, bro. Give me the money. Give me the dope. And the guy's screaming, I don't got nothing. I don't got nothing. And his 2 friends are screaming like, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He doesn't have anything. Leave him alone. Excuse me. So I'm high, bro. I'm loaded. I'm on acid. I'm drunk. These dudes yelling is like ringing in my head. It's irritating me. So I step up to one of them cats and I'm like, well, if he don't got it, then you must got it. Break yourself. I pull my little gun out. Like, break yourself. Now people are tripping around. He's like, I don't got nothing. This dude is like 6'2", right? I'm like 5'9". Little tweaked out dude, me. I'm like 135 pounds, 5'9". Here's this dude like 6 foot something. Looks like a giant to me, and I'm loaded. He reaches in his waistband. He grabs me by the throat, and he reaches in his waistband. Pushes me up against a wall. So that kind of like sobers me up a little bit, right? I'm like, oh, dang. In my mind, he's reaching for a gun. He's reaching in his waistband. He's in his waistband, grabs me by the throat. So I push him off me and I pull my strap back out. I had put my gun away. I pull it back out and it's like everything is in slow motion at this time. I'm pointing my gun at him. He's just staring at me with his hand in his waistband. And he steps towards me and starts pulling his hand out. I'm thinking he's pulling out a gun. So I shoot. Shot him in the stomach. I only had a little 25. I shoot 2 times in the stomach. He grabs his stomach and he turns around and starts running. Now people are screaming. We're at a house party, bro. Like 50, 60 people there. People hear the shots. Everybody starts running, screaming. People are running to their cars. In my stupid brain, now I'm mad at him for making me shoot him. So I chase him. He's running. I'm chasing, and I'm unloading the clip. Shooting these little bullets, right? Click, click, click. My little clip runs out, but I hear shots. In my head, he's shooting back. But I realized the shots are coming from behind me. It was my homeboy, was one of my crime, ended up becoming my crimey. My crimey shot at him too. So now it's like full on chaos, bro. Everybody's running, everybody's screaming, getting in cars. They grab me, we jump in our car, we take off. Excuse me. We take off. A couple of days later, somebody brings me the newspaper. The dude died. They had found him under a car. When the cops got called, the cops that came out there, and they found him there under a car. So they had interviewed all kinds of people, all kinds of witnesses, and nobody could really ID me. Excuse me. nobody really ID'd me. It turns out that during that week, people they were receiving anonymous calls giving me up. So the cops had went to my mom's pad looking for me. Of course, right away, my brother calls me and lets me know, hey, the police were here looking for you. So now I'm like trying to get away. So I'm bouncing to different spots. And as I leave each spot, there come the cops. And then I bounce to another spot, here come the cops. So somebody's like giving up the information where I'm at. So I ended up coming to Kern County and thinking I was hiding out. So in my mind, I'm on the run. I'm over here in Kern County. And one morning, the police come kicking in the door. Kern County sheriffs, about 5, 6 of them, and sheriff from LA County from the gang unit, from the Antelope Valley gang unit. They come with a warrant. I'm sorry, bro. My throat's really dry.
No worries.
They come with a warrant. I get arrested. They take me to the substation. The homicide detectives call me in, start asking me questions. Of course, I'm denying everything. They put me back in the holding tank. They end up gaffling up who became my crimies, where the rest of everybody that was there with me, my homeboy and the guys that were with him. Altogether, it's 5 of us. 5 of us that they got in the station. And at this point, I go ahead and give myself up. I tell them, you know what? Yeah, it was me. I did it. Let all them go. They had nothing to do with it. They're like, all right, cool. Little do I know that as they're pulling each person in to investigate, everybody's saying the same thing. I did it. Let them go. I did it. Let them go. I did it. Let them go. That's back in 91, bro. Nowadays, the first thing is they did it. Let me go. You know what I mean? But back then it was I did it. Let them go. So now we're all cop to it. So they charge us with murder, first-degree murder during a robbery. They were saying that we were in the process of a robbery, which is true. You know, we were trying to rob him for his dope, but they charged us with first-degree murder, and we were facing the death penalty. So I'm there. Excuse me. By that time already, I'm in Wayside. They had me at, I don't remember if it was Medium North or if it was Old East Max, but they got me there and they took me down to court. My public defender comes in and he's like, look, man, you know you did it. I know you did it. Everybody knows you did it. You're guilty. There's nothing I can do for you. He says they want to give you the death penalty, but they're offering you this deal for 25 to life. So the only one that's there with me is my homie that's been to the pen before. Yeah, I got busted for a shooting before and done a few years. So he's right there. So I'm like, what you gonna do, fool? He's like, forget the death penalty. I'm taking the deal. I'm like, all right, let's roll. So we take the deal. And the next time I go back to court, I get sentenced to 30 years to life, 25 to life for the gun, with a 5-year, 25 to life for the murder, 5 years for the gun enhancement, for a total of 30 to life. I'm 21 years old. I've never been in no real trouble, never did no real time. Here I am going upstate with a life sentence, believing that I will never come home again, believing that I'll never see my family again, I'll never see my son, that I was just going to rot in prison. Excuse me.
Hey, bro, what year was this again? What, I know you were 21. What year was it? This was like 91, 92?
1991. Yeah,
1991. Okay. Hey, we were in the county jail about the same time then. Because I was in there 91. Yeah, I was in there from July 91. And then but I had a speeding trial, so I was found guilty by September.
Well, trip on this. This is how they did me and us, my crimies. I got arrested on June 7th.
Okay.
I got sentenced July 22nd, and I hit the reception center in August.
Wait.
So in less than 90 days, I went from being arrested to hitting the yard on a murder case.
What the? Oh, because you took the deal, so they probably did it forthwith. So
Yes,
yeah,
but triple trip
yeah.
on this. So the day I took the deal, the day that
Uh-huh.
I pled guilty and all that, they set it for sentencing, right? So I go back to the county jail.
Mm-hmm.
The fellas in the county are like, "What happened?" I took a deal. Oh, what'd you get? 25 to life. What? What you mean you took a deal and you got 25 to life? I said, yeah, that was the deal. They're like, no, what's wrong with you, youngster? You don't even have a first degree murder case. You got a second degree at best. I'm like, well, what do I do now? When you go back, they say you withdraw your plea. You withdraw your plea and go to trial. They're working you. You ain't got no first degree murder. So I don't know no better. Like I said, I never been in no serious trouble. I never did no time.
Yeah.
So I jump on the phone and I tell my mom, right, my family, look, this is what the guys over here are telling me to do. My mom was like, okay, I'm gonna try to get you a lawyer. So my mom, bless her heart, bro, she scraped up whatever little money she could, hired a lawyer, right? So on the day I go to get sentenced, this new lawyer, private lawyer, comes and he's there. They call my case. Boom, so I go and the judge is like, what's going on? I understand you're trying to make some kind of motion. So the private lawyer gets up, introduces himself. We want to make a motion to withdraw the guilty plea. We'd like a 30-day continuance, blah, blah, blah. The judge is like, nope, absolutely not. It's like, first of all, you can't even speak on behalf of this client because you're not his lawyer. The public defender is his lawyer. And the paid lawyer, he's like, okay, that's fine, but I'm sure that Mr. So-and-so, in the best interest of his client, will make this same motion. All right, so now they ask the DA, okay, what do you think? The DA's like, I'm fine with substituting the lawyer, but the continuance has to be less than 30 days. So the public defender, he don't do nothing, bro. He just keeps on with the sentencing, right?
Mm.
And the judge is like, wait a minute, who do you want to be your lawyer? And I'm like, this guy, the new guy. And the judge is like, nope, he didn't. He denied all the motions, and they went on ahead and sentenced me, bro. Sentenced me to 30 to life.
Wow.
So,
Hey,
so I got.
let me ask you something, bro. Why were the homies telling you that you had a second degree when you were being charged first degree?
So
What was making them think that it
first,
was second degree?
because it wasn't premeditated. I had never seen this man before in my life. I didn't know him. There was no plan. Like, okay, we're gonna go kill him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I understand now that because of the robbery aspect of it, that's what makes it a first degree.
Yeah.
But we weren't, at the time it was like, nah, it wasn't like there was something that was planned. It was just a spur of the moment thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's crazy too. When I got sentenced, the judge even mentioned, he's like, the reason why this is a first degree murder, he said, and this is for everybody that's out there listening, especially if any youngsters are listening. He said, you took a loaded gun to a party. You may not have intended to kill this particular person, but you intended to do something. And for that reason, I'm gonna let it stand as a first degree because your plan was to do something with that gun. You didn't take a gun to a party for no reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was his rationalization for letting it stand as a first degree, because he said that we did premeditate, maybe not particularly this individual that ended up losing his life, but the intention was to do something. Otherwise, why are you taking a gun to a party?
Hey, so your crimey he got offered the same deal as well, the 30 to life, or did
So
they?
my crime that's my age, which was my homie, he got the
Mhm.
same exact sentence, 30 to life. The
Wow.
other three crimies, they were juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them his family had a little bit of money. They got a paid lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up taking a 7-year voluntary manslaughter deal and went to YA. He did 3 years in YA and went home. The other two youngsters, they took deals for 15 to life, each of them. So they each got 15 to life, and the two older ones, which is myself and my homie, we each got 30 to life. So out of the 5 crimes, 4 of us ended up with life sentences.
Wow. Let me ask you something. Like later on, when you started hearing about all these other cases and everything throughout your time, were you thinking like, man, if we would have just fought it, man, we would have probably beat it, and ended up with a second degree, which would have probably been, maybe a little bit less, right? But
I
when
think
you
that
agreed to a life term, did you know though, because you hadn't been in the system at all though, but did you really think that, hey, life meant life?
had
Did
no
you think that?
clue. Had no clue, bro. I just went when my homie was like,
Yeah.
forget that death penalty. I'm taking the deal. Okay, let's roll. because again, in my mind,
Yeah.
I'm down to do whatever the homies do because I don't want to get abandoned again. In my mind,
Yeah.
I'm looking for love so much.
So
I'm
I'm
looking
like, hey,
for
if we both take the deal, we're gonna roll together.
let's
That's
go.
what
You
you're
know what I
thinking.
mean?
Yeah,
In
you're
my
like, all
mind,
right,
that's
let's
how it
just
is. You
roll.
know what I mean? Let's just
Yeah.
roll. It's whatever, you know.
You know what's crazy
But
though is that because I was on the trial module, which was 3,600 in the county jail
mm,
during 91, and everybody down there was busted for murder, looking at life, right? Everybody. And I remember there was a couple of homies there that were fighting the death penalty. And everybody down there at that time were telling them, like, yeah, fight the death penalty. It's hard for them to prove the capital punishment. And I was like, man, that's a crazy risk. You know what I mean? And for
right,
me, I was determined to take it to the box because for me, my only witness, you know, was my crime partner. And
right,
see, when I ended up going to trial, I had did my case like almost 2.5 years prior, and my
right.
crime partner, we were juveniles at the time. We were 16 years old when I
Mm,
committed my crime. Um, but my crime partner, after a year of fighting it, he was my state evidence, right? He was turning
mm,
against me. And then during them years, during 89, going into 90, you couldn't be bonded to Superior Court on hearsay. So they
mm,
needed him as a physical witness at that point in time. And
right.
the guys, my enemies, that I committed my shooting on, the ones that were there, they ended up saying that it wasn't me. So when my crime partner didn't show up, they let me go. But when I turned
Mm,
18, they refiled on me, right? And
mm,
everybody was like, they were telling me like, "Hey, fool, fight that, man. Don't agree to no life," because there was older cats in there that had come down from state, and they were like, "Hey, life means life. You're never getting out.
right,
At least
right,
if you, I mean, take it to the box and see what you get." I
right.
took it a box, and they stretched me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But yeah, man, that's crazy, especially during the 90s, man, because that's when we had Pete Wilson and Gray Davis, where
right.
that was their political stance was, if you're doing life, the only way you're getting out is in a box, right?
Pine
We all
box.
knew
That's
that.
it.
We all
Right.
knew that, right? Specifically a pine box. That's what they would say.
That's what they
So
would say.
yeah.
Yeah, and something else that the fellas in the county had said when they were telling me to no, that's not no deal.
Mhm.
Like you said, they were saying it's hard to prove a capital murder case. And then they were like, you don't really got no background. You don't got no heck of a
Yeah.
criminal record. This is like really your first major thing. You know what I mean? So he was
Mhm.
like, and you're young, you're only 21. The chances of you getting the death penalty are very slim. Might have ended up with life without, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I really believe that if we had really fought it, we probably would have ended up with 15 to life. But and I'll get to this a little bit later. There was a reason for everything happening the way it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
so
Go
I
ahead, bro.
get
Continue.
sentenced. I'm like in a fog, bro. The sentencing hearing was just like surreal. Everything was in like slow motion. I'm hearing the judge talk. I'm looking out at the people that are there. My mom is there. My mom's crying, and there's all kinds of people there crying, and it's just like I'm just tripping. Like, what the heck is actually happening here? And I remember distinctly the judge saying, if you ever get out, it'll be 20 plus years from now, and you'll be on parole. You can be on parole for the rest of your life. But that didn't even really sink in. I remember hearing him say it, but it didn't really like hit me as to what that meant, right? If you're ever let out, it'll be 20 plus years from now. And I'm a 21-year-old kid. So it didn't like really register that, okay, this man is just saying that guaranteed you ain't going nowhere until you're at least 40 something,
Mhm.
right? Doesn't hit. So we go back to the tank. The jerks that we were, my crimey and I were there in the tank, and there's some other people. And I remember this dude, some stoner cat, he went in after us. Now, mind you, we just got sentenced to life, bro. Me and my crimey. He goes into the courtroom and he comes back to the holding tank, and this dude's sobbing, bro. He's crying. We're like, hey man, what happened? What they give you? He can't even really even talk right because he's sobbing so hard. He's like, they gave me 16. We're like, bro, 16 years? That's not too bad. 16 months. Bro, we started socking this dude out. And it's not cool. You know what I mean? I'm ashamed of it now. But at the time, it was like, bro, we just got life. And you're literally sobbing tears about 16 months. So we go back to the county. A few weeks later, we catch the chain and we go open up Wasco. We were the first bus from LA County to hit Wasco Reception Center.
Mhm.
I remember that when we got on the bus from Wayside, we started going the wrong direction. To the people that thought we were going to Chino, I didn't know where we were going because I never been to prison, but everybody thought we were going to Chino. But when the bus is going the wrong way, everybody starts yelling at the bus driver, like, "Hey, where are you going? You're going the wrong way." And he's like, "No, we're going to Wasco." Wasco, what's that? Brand new reception center. So there I go, bro. Go start off my time, hit reception, do my little couple of months there at Wasco. I'm tripping. It was like a crazy wake up call when we pulled up. And I'm seeing the barbed wire and the gun towers and the stuff that I've seen in the movies. Again,
Mhm.
I've never been to prison before. This is my first time even seeing a prison in person. So I'm looking, and the big old gate opens, and the bus drives through. And my crime is like, "Don't trip, bro. Everything's gonna be cool. Don't worry about nothing. I got you." You know what I mean? He was lacing me up what to get at canteen and talking about you get soups and coffee, and I'm like tripping, like, what the heck do I want soups and coffee for? So do my little time there in Wasco and hit the yard. We opened up a brand new yard, so we're just there doing our little thing, and I get sent to my first main line. You know, I'm doing life, so I go to a level 4. They send me to Tehachapi. So I go right there to Tehachapi, um, started doing my time, you know what I mean? From there, I ended up going to level 3 after a few years, couple of years. Go to level 3 to Ironwood. Again, opening up a brand new spot. This is now 1994. 94 Ironwood is brand new. Get there, and of course, when you're opening up a new prison, all kind, you know how it is, all kinds of stuff takes place.
Oh yeah.
Of course, I get caught up in the stuff, and I ended up catching a shoe turn. We were supposed to a riot was supposed to kick off. We were supposed to go at it with the blacks, and it kept getting delayed, kept getting delayed, kept getting delayed, and finally somebody told. So they came doing a big old sweep of all the homie cells. And at this time at Ironwood, because it wasn't even a full prison yet, all the lifers, we were in one building and we were on the top tier, and we didn't have to have a celly if we didn't want. I had a celly at the time, but we didn't have to have a celly. So they came and they hit all of our cells, and they found me with 2 pieces in the cell. So they take me and my celly to the hole. Um, I end up, getting the charge for both of them. They cut him loose back to the yard, so I catch my first little shoe term. I go to Corcoran shoe. Corcoran in the early and mid 90s was still popping. It was still Corcoran shoe. Got the rough treatment getting off the bus when we got there from the URA. They were still popping doors on people and all that. So I got a little taste of that. I actually caught the tail end of what is generally known as the gladiator fights. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to tell you if you could just explain what that was, though, because a lot of people don't understand what that gladiator session was in federal indictments and all that
Right,
stuff.
right, right,
The
right.
setups. When you're saying popping the cells, they don't understand that. They don't understand the way you were being set up. So if you could
Right.
just elaborate on it real
Of
quick,
course.
just so
So
they
at
could
that,
understand the
yeah,
severity of what you're going through.
right, right,
Here
right.
you are, 21 years of age, 20. No, you're like
By
23
that
now,
time,
right?
I'm 23. Yeah, I'm like
Yeah,
20,
like 23
20,
years old.
24. When I hit corporate show, I
24.
was
Okay.
24. 24
Okay.
years old, still new
Oh,
to
you
the
were a little
system.
late though, because you had like
Yeah,
what 3 years
like
in
three
by now?
years. Yeah, through
Yeah.
3 years under my belt.
Okay.
So at that time in Corcoran shoe, and it really was, like I said, I caught the tail end of it. Prior
Mm-hmm.
to that, like in the late 80s, early 90s, the cops in Corcoran, the guards, were super crooked. And I don't say that lightly, because there's CEOs that are good people that are doing their job in every profession. You got people that are jerks, and you got good people. Corcoran shoe cops were jerks, whether they wanted to be or not. They had to be, because they had their own thing going on there too between themselves. But what they were doing was they would bet on fights. They would pick people. They would put Southerners against Northerners. They would put blacks against whites, blacks against Mexicans. They would open the cell doors or put you on the yard with people that you weren't supposed to be on the yard with. a lot of people don't realize that one of the functions of the CDC is not only to house you, punish you, rehabilitate you, but also to keep you safe. Well, that's the last thing they were doing there at Corcoran Shoe in this time. And it became a well-known scandal. The feds ended up getting involved in investigating because someone had got shot and killed. There's a YouTube video out, the famous YouTube video of a African American gentleman that ended up getting shot and killed when he was fighting. I think it was a Hispanic from up north, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but that's what really set in motion the federal investigation. Come to find out later that amongst themselves, the officers had a rule that you don't shoot one of your own. Well, that's what happened in that incident. A black and a Mexican were fighting, and the officer in the tower was black, and he shot the black inmate. So his own cops turned on him, and everything started falling apart. So it was a dangerous time. Prison is a dangerous place as it is. The shoe is a dangerous place as it is. But now you have to be on guard all day long with your little, at that time, they were giving us the karate shoes. Remember the black karate shoes?
Yep, the Jap flaps.
They call them the Jap flats. They were giving us the black karate shoes at the time. You had to have your shoes on and be ready because at any time during the day, your cell door could open. And you're going to stick your head out and look what you all want. And you're going to look down the tier, and somebody from an enemy faction is going to have their head out looking, oh, man, you guys are going to run on the tier and do your thing. Or they would send you to the yard. And that's what happened with us. We got sent to the yard eventually with some people we weren't supposed to be. But that's the time that I was there at Corcoran Shoe when they were doing all that. They were calling them the gladiator fights. It was
that was like 95, 96, huh? Wasn't it around that time?
Well, it was already, the feds were already investigating then. I got there in 94 and the feds were already investigating. So they had kind of slowed down. They weren't doing it as much, but they were still doing it. The heart of it was really like 89, 90, up until like around 93, 94 is when they were just wild with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for you guys that, can't really visualize it, there's a movie out that kind of, it's a good little representation of it. What's that movie called? Was it Convict or was it Felon?
No, Felon.
Felon, yeah. So that's a good little illustration. It's a good little storyline too, because, you could go in there wanting to just do your time, mind your own business, and get so caught up. And if you follow the story, you'll see the guy was a business guy, killed a guy. Don't want to give up the whole movie, but just check it out. The way it's so easy to get caught up, and get your whole life twisted, from, I mean, like the brother's saying, it's so hard in there in general. And then you got to go up against the cop shenanigans, it's like, it's all bad. So for you guys that want a visual, check out that movie.
Felon. Yeah, check out Felon for sure. Like, I'm glad you said that, because that is probably, of all the prison movies, that is the closest representation to what was happening at Corcoran at that time.
Yeah.
I never made it to the Bay, so I don't know if in the Bay they were doing the same kind of thing, but Corcoran became famous for that. A lot of the cops ended up getting fired, and even higher up people ended up losing their jobs and stuff like that when it all came down. But so I'm there doing my time, going to the yard programming. The celly I have at the time, we ended up getting caught up in that. So for those of you that don't know what it's like, try to picture if you're looking at a wall, right? And there's cells. There's a top tier and a bottom tier, and there's just cells. There's 5 cell doors, and a shower, and 5 cell doors. And then on the bottom, there's 5 cell doors, a shower, and 5 cell doors. Well, the way they were grouping the yard, meaning that's who you went to yard with, was by whoever's in them first 5 cells, that's a yard group. Whoever's in the next 5 cells, that's a yard group. It didn't matter if there was Southerners, Northerners, whites, blacks, whoever was in those 5 cells, that's who you went to yard with. And then, like I said, the next 5 cells, that's a separate yard group. They go to yard at different time than you. So our yard group was cool. We didn't have no issues on our yard group. So one day they're letting us out for yard, and they come and they're going cell to cell, right? Turn on your light if you want yard. Turn on your light if you want yard. So boom, we turn our lights on so we can go to yard. And I noticed that the officer went to the next yard group, right? Who's not supposed to go to yard with us. And he went to a cell of, they ran other. They were like Arabic people, like from Saudi Arabia. They were from the Middle East. They were Middle Eastern dudes, but they functioned with the Northerners. These dudes used to give the Hudas a hard time. They were always 602ing stuff, always yelling on the tier, cussing the cops out, all kinds of madness. So they go to their cell and they're like, turn your lights on if you want yard. It's not their yard group. They got no business going to the yard. But they're like everybody else, they're riders, so they ain't gonna turn it down. So they turn their light on. So the homies get in our vent and they're like, hey, did you see who turned their light on for yard? And we're like, yeah, don't trip, we got it. And they're like, you want us to go out? No, don't even trip. Me and myself are gonna take care of it. So they take those dudes out first, and then they come get Marcelli and I. We cuff up, do all the, go through all the strip search and all that kind of stuff. We get at Corcoran. There's a little shoe yard. You go out from the pod. It's a 180 design. There's 3 separate pods. And then you go out through the Sally Port, and then there's a little, like a holding tank kind of room where you put your shoes and your socks and everything back on. And then there's the door to the yard. The door is controlled by the cop in the gun tower. He hits a button and that unlocks the door. The door has a big old window, so you can see out and people can see in. They can see who's coming to the yard, and you can see who's on the yard already. So Marcelli and I already know what time it is. We know what's expected of us. So I let Marcelli know which one I'm going to go at. He says, okay, I got the other one. The cop knows what time it is, too. There's cops that went up there into the tower that don't even work in our building. They're there to watch
entertainment.
The entertainment's jumping on. So they called their buddies, come on over. It's about to go down. So he looks down through the little thing and us. He's like, you guys ready? I put my hand on the door. I'm like, yeah, we're ready. He hits the thing. I throw the door open. I go run at one dude. Marcelli runs at the other dude. And we're boxing, right? We're boxing for a few little seconds. And then the Huda starts yelling, get down, get down. He shoots the block gun. Boom. Get down, get down. We're still fighting. Now, at that time, they're shooting people with real live rounds. So this dude pulls out the mini, and you can hear it. For those that don't know, the yard, what we call the yard, it's a little concrete area. It's 4 walls of solid concrete. So noise, especially loud noises, echo in that little area. So when this dude chambers around, it's loud, clap, and it echoes. And that sound is very eerie in an environment like that. So I hear that, and other people in the yard start yelling, get down, he's got the gun. So the dude I'm fighting with, we back up from each other. The dude Marcelli is fighting with, they back up from each other, and everybody prones out. Well, the dude I'm fighting jumps up and starts running towards Marcelli. So I jump up to go cut him off. He lays back down. So now I'm the only fool standing up in the middle of the yard. Everybody's proned out. Cop got this gun out. He's screaming, get down. Everybody's telling me, get down. I'm looking around like I don't know what to do. I'm froze. And I see the guy right there that Marcelli was fighting. So I just kicked him as hard as I could in the face. Boom, my little karate shoe on. Bro, I broke my toe. I fall on the ground holding my toe. I'm screaming. This dude is screaming about, why did you kick me? The hood on the tower is screaming. It was comedy, but it wasn't comedy because I fully expected to get shot and get killed. You know what I mean? And that's why I was like, okay, if I'm about to get killed, I'm going out doing something. I kicked the dude, and by the grace of God, I didn't get shot. So they ended up clearing the yard, taking us in, got out from that shoe term, hit Corcoran main line, and just started, bouncing around, getting in trouble. I caught another shoe eventually. I ended up in High Desert, from High Desert to Salinas Valley. Salinas Valley caught my second shoe term for a stabbing. I go back to Corcoran shoe to the exact same building. And this little nugget right here is something I actually shared with the board. When I got there, so my first time in the shoe, I was in 4A2 left. Now my second time when I went back again, I ended up right there in 4A2 left again. And I'd been there for a couple of days, and the CO is walking the tier, and I'm at the door looking out, and he stops and he looks at me. He's like, didn't you just leave here recently? And I was in my stupid, prideful mind. I'm like, yeah, and I'm back. Like if it was a good thing, right? And he looks at me and he's just shaking his head like, you don't get it, do you? And I was like, what you mean? He just took off. But that was like the first little seed planted in my mind that the way I was living my life was not right. But I still don't catch it at the time, right? Because I'm fully immersed in gang activity and drugs and being a lifer in prison and being with the fellas and fully in it. So I really don't pay it no mind. It's there, it's in the back, but it doesn't come out till later.
Yeah.
So I get out from that shoe term, go to New Folsom, end up now. So I'm just doing my time, bro. I'm getting, transfers. I'm getting in trouble and going to the hole and all this stuff. Years are going by. I'm not having any kind of hope of ever getting out. Lose all contact with my son. Lose all contact with friends, women, all the women that were writing at first when I first went to prison, all the friends, all the homeboys that were writing and visiting at first fall off. Another lesson for you young cats that might be checking this video out. When you get caught up and you're gone, you're out of sight, you're out of mind. All that homeboy love and all that, it's false. You know what I mean? You might have a couple of good friends that are also your homeboys that might, still write to you, send you a little something, but for the most part, solo bolo. The only one that stayed down for my whole term was my mom. I mean, thank God for moms. That was the only one that wrote it out. But anyway, so I'm doing my time. Eventually, I dropped points down to level 3. Because now let me go back to that second shoe term. I'm in the second shoe term for a stabbing this time. This time they give me 2 years. The first shoe term was a year. This time I get a 2-year shoe. Do my little shoe. It's time to go back to the main line. Got to go to committee to get cleared to go back to the main line. So when I'm in this committee, they look me dead in the face and they tell me, Mr. McGrath, this is now the second time we've seen you back here. If we see you a third time, this will become your permanent residence. Again, a little seed planted, but it's planted way in the back and it ain't getting no water. I'm not tripping. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But it's there. You know what I mean? A little seed is there. If we see you back here again in the shoe, it's going to become your permanent residence. Go to the main line, like I said, hit New Folsom. From there, bounced. It was a level 4 180 design B facility. From there, was able to stay out of trouble long enough to earn a transfer to a 270. Stayed there at Corcoran in the 270 design and stayed out of trouble long enough for my points to drop to level 3. This is now 2005. 2005, go to Ironwood. Coming from a level 4, thinking I'm all Mr. Super Gangster. I'm there, and I run into some people that I know, from earlier years, and enjoying the freedoms of a level 3 now versus a level 4. I'm able to go to night yard. We're in the day room. Just different privileges that on level 4 you don't have. So I'm there enjoying my little surroundings. Still being willing to be a part of the nonsense. Now I'm a little older. Now I'm in my 30s already, but still haven't really gotten it together. And I started working. I was in vocation in the back. I was taking an office services class, learning how to type, learning the computer. And someone told me about college. They were like, hey, they got this college program and you should try to take this college program. And I'm like, for what? I don't really need no college. And they're like, well, someday you go to the board and it'll look good. Or I'm like, they ain't never going to let me go. I ain't tripping. And this gentleman said something very key to me. He was like, well, look, he goes, I understand. He goes, I'm a lifer too. He said, and I feel you, right? He says, but the day comes that I sit before that parole board and they deny me parole, it's going to be because they don't want to let me go, not because I didn't do everything I needed to do. It's not going to be on me that they don't let me go. It's going to be this because they don't want to. He goes, I don't expect to go nowhere either, but I'm going to do everything that they want me to do just so they can't say I didn't do something.
Yeah.
And they deny me. And I really didn't understand that because I wasn't thinking about going home. I hadn't gone to the board yet, none of that. So I'm there on the level 3, and I eventually do end up going to college. I ended up getting my associate's degree right there, and I'm starting to take little programs, not because I'm really tripping off going home, but just because it was cool to get out of the cell and go do some stuff and learn some new stuff. And it was just something for me to do. At this time, my brother started having kids, so I had a nephew and I had a niece, and I'm older now, so I'm starting to mature a little bit in that I'm like, okay, I'm in prison and I'm doing life, but I can still show my family that I have value. So I started trying to do some little good. You know what I mean? I wasn't really like totally trying to change my life, but I was starting to back up from being a frontliner all the time and always trying to find out what's going on and how can I be down. And I'm trying to, I'm kind of backing up from that a little bit, just off the fact that I'm getting older. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. What year was this when you started to have this, this
This is
idea about doing?
like around 2007, 2008. I started college in 2008.
So by that time, 2008, you're already getting word that lifers are going home, right?
Not really. I had heard that it's possible that a couple had got out, but it's just like, nah, you guys are lying. We didn't believe it. I didn't see it with my own eyes. So to us, it was like, nah, maybe like if you're an ex-cop or something like that, you know what I mean? Maybe you get action, but we didn't really think it was possible.
Yeah, because I actually got out in 2003. I was the first lifer to get out from New Corcoran, the SATF. Yeah,
Yeah.
2003. Well, I ended up getting a lot of appeals later on. I ended up going
Right.
back to court 2 different times. But after me, though, it seemed like maybe about a year later, so like 2004, because I was working at the Walden House program in downtown LA, and we started getting a lot of lifers coming through.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. By 2008, yeah, was I in Almani already? I think I was working in Almani, and there was a lot of lifers that were getting out. I was like, dang. So that's why I was asking, like,
Yeah,
because,
right. No, we hadn't really heard
when
of it.
somebody starts going home, it starts to spread.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And what our experience was people was going into the boardroom with college degrees and all that, and getting told that they're too smart of a criminal to be let out
Mm.
and getting shot
Now,
down. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And
Now
this is right around the time that the denials changed too. When
Oh,
Marcy's
yeah,
law
that's when it
came in,
started going, what, 5, 10, 15?
3, 5, 7, 10, and 15. So for those of the listeners, the viewers that aren't really hip to how the parole process works, there was a time in California prison when if you were a lifer and you went to the parole board, they have different amounts of time that they could deny you for till your next hearing. If they decide they're not going to parole you, they have to set a date of when they're going to review you again. At the time, the minimum was a 1-year denial. 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 was the max. Well, when Marcy's law came out, Marcy's law tripled everything.
Wow.
The 1-year denial became a 3, and on up. The 5-year denial became a 15. So the minimum denial you could get was a 3 years, and the maximum was a 15 years. So it was 3, 5, 7, 10, and 15 with the different ranges they could give you of when you would come back to the board.
And during that year, bro, because I don't remember, when I got out in 2003, I can't even recall ever hearing about any SNY yards, 50-50 yards. Didn't hear nothing about any of that stuff, man. When did them yards start kicking in? Because I know when that stuff started happening, especially the 50-50 yards, it wasn't that like putting a gang of people in bad positioning.
Yeah, we had started hearing about SNY yards, but it's like here and there. It wasn't like now where every prison, half the prisons are SNY yards, or now they're having the 50-50 yards where they're mixing people, but they didn't really have them like that back then. Excuse me, you might hear of one here when they're, this yard has a time limit. If you go to this yard, you got to get out of there within this amount of time or whatever. But it wasn't really as prevalent back then as it is or it got to be later in 2010 and up to now. So I'm there doing my thing, and my points dropped to where now I was going to about to be level 2, but I didn't want to go to level 2. You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about, it's whack over there. You don't want to go. They're putting jackets on different prisons. If you go there, it's this and it's that, and the people there are this and the people there are that, and you won't like it. And so I went and talked to somebody in the program office, one of the clerks, right? Another prisoner. And I was like, look, man, when I go to my annual next month, my points are going to drop to level 2 and I don't want to go. You know anybody that can hook me up? Basically meaning a CO. And he's like, yeah, I got somebody that'll take care of you. We just got to go talk to him. So I'm like, all right, cool. So he takes me and we approach this one CO. And the program office clerk, he runs him down. He's like, hey, this is a good dude right here. He's about to be level 2, but he doesn't want to go. Is there anything you can help him with? And he's like, what you want, a 115? And I was like, yeah, I'll take a 115 because that'll raise my points back up. So he gave me like a silly little out of bounds 115, but it was enough that it messed my points up. So I went to my 115 hearing. And the CO it was like a lieutenant, I think, a sergeant or a lieutenant that did the hearing. And he was like, man, this is a bogus 115. I know it's a bogus 115, but I'm going to go ahead and find you guilty anyway. And they gave me my points, and I didn't have to go to level 2 at that time. Go ahead. I know you want to say something.
No, I was going to say, because when my points dropped down to level 2, I was in Donovan, which was level 3. I had just got off close B, by the way. I just started hitting night yard for the first time after, like, by the time I got there, let's see, 91. It was almost 8 years that I had been down, so I hadn't seen no night yard. Even though I went to YA first, I went to YA for like the first 5 years. But even then, our program shut down at 4:00. So when I got to prison, I had like 38 points, which was the level 3. I was able to skip the level 4 because I had went through YA, you know what I mean, for them first 5 years. By the time I got there, I think my points, when my first classification, I think I had 38 points, which was in the range of level 3, right? And I was still on I was on close B probably for a few months, probably I want to say by like 6 months. And then when I went to committee, they were like, yeah, we're going to drop you down to 31 points, which will be a level 2. And I was like, man, and everybody was telling me the same thing. Man, you don't want to go to level 2. That's dorm living. It's loud. It smells. Like, man, you're going to get caught up in some stupid stuff,
Right. And that's how I was thinking too, because I was in a cell. I had been in a cell at this point for like 19 years.
Yeah.
Used to having my own things, my privacy, my quiet, having a cool celly, you know what I mean? So, and they were telling me that same stuff.
Yeah. And for me, though, I lucked out, though, because I was working in the education department at the time. And I remember there was a lieutenant, bro. He was a cool lieutenant that he was real cool with me. So he actually authorized an override for me. So I was like, that was cool. Wow. But at that same time, though, somebody escaped, I think, from CRC, which was a level 2, right? And they were shipping all them people out for a minute because somebody escaped from over there, and they were moving everybody over to Donovan level 3 because I think there was some people there were like level 2 on an override or whatever. Right. Something happened, but they needed the bed space, so I was on an override for like 5 months, and then they said, hey, unfortunately, we're gonna have to ship you out, and that's how I ended up in New Corcoran when they opened up New Corcoran.
Right.
That's how I ended up over there, which it wasn't exactly dormant. I don't know. Did you ever make it over to New Corcoran? So they're level 2 over there. It's a split of like cell dorms. It's kind of smaller though, for what they are. They're cubicles. So there's like 6 bunks in a cubicle, and each section's blocked off. There's 3 sections, like the regular prisons. There's A section, B section, C section. But they have these gates that lock up at nighttime. So there's smaller sections to control if something happens, right?
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool though. I was like, oh, this ain't that bad. The only thing is, I was like the 3rd bus that rode up to Corcoran, and everybody, like you said earlier, when you're opening up a new program, and we had the Northerns there, the Bulldogs, were still, kind of in between, by themselves. Still going out with North, still going out with the homies and everything. So everybody was fighting, trying to figure out who had this, these pull-up bars, who was going, what handball courts, who's going to get these bleachers, everything. Just everything was crazy, right?
Wild.
Yeah, it was wild, bro. It was wild. For being a level 2, I was like, damn, these yards are kicking off even more. Even when I was in San Quentin, it was like, damn, this yard right here is crazy. And you know what's crazy when I say this is a lot of them staff that were over there on the Corcoran side during the shoe wars, right?
Mm,
They got some of them that didn't get fired, but they were still over there. They got
mm.
transferred over to the new side.
Right,
So they
right, right.
had that little chip on their shoulder, you know what I
Yes,
mean? And
yeah.
oh my goodness, it's
Nothing
crazy.
nice.
Yeah, even
What
right there
is
on B Yard in New Corcoran, bro, I seen at least 4 CEOs get blasted, bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
there was
just
nothing
because of
nice
their
over there.
attitude, being
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Well,
Yeah.
they went the main line right there. When I would get out of the shoe and go to the Corcoran main line, waiting to get
Mhm.
transferred to wherever, those Hudas right there were they had, like you said, they had a little chip. They used to tell you, "This is Corcoran. This is our yard.
Yeah.
You guys might go to other prisons and run them, but you don't run nothing here. This is Corcoran." And that was their mentality, bro. So I was
Yeah,
like,
they had a
hey,
chip, man.
they used to pop over there. I was
Yeah.
going to ask you. You said about you went. What year did you go from YA to the state? Did you go
90
when all the lifers got kicked out?
yeah, and for
After
me, I went to Palm Hall. I don't know if you know Palm Hall. Palm Hall,
Chino?
yeah,
Yeah.
in Chino. I was there in management because I was under investigation of the murder that happened in YA. So
On the
yeah,
staff lady.
yeah. So that August of '96, when all the buses were getting shipped out, it was like what you said, man. I didn't want to go alone, you know what I mean? And
Right.
they held me back because I was being investigated. So
Uh,
eventually they were like, yeah, we're gonna continue the investigation, but we're taking you to Chino. So when I got
yeah.
to Chino, they took me straight to Palm Hall. I didn't even know what Palm Hall is. All I knew is
Right.
the CO told us, don't talk to nobody on the first and second tier. Your homies on the third tier will get at you later. Just
Right.
don't say nothing. And I didn't know who was on the first and second. Come to
What
find
that
out,
meant.
they were all PCs on the
Yeah.
first and second tier.
Right.
And third row on the east side was management. The west side was that was where they normally housed us, right? And it was crazy though, bro. It was a crazy experience.
He was lacing you up. No, the reason why I asked because my two younger crimies, they went to YA
Uh-huh.
and they came up at that same time. So I was thinking you might have
Yeah.
been at YA with them. I don't remember
90.
where they were at. I don't know what YA they were at. But they hit the state around the same time too. When all the lifers got kicked
Yeah,
out.
well, most of us came from YTS right there in
Yeah.
Chino because it was the M numbers that they were kicking out. Everyone that had
Mhm.
adult conviction. So
Right.
normally that was the 18-year-olds and up. So that was
Uh,
YA. YA was always I mean YTS was like 18 to 25,
right.
and the younger cats would go to other places, you know what I mean? So
So
I
were
did
you
a lot of
there? Were you there with Joe Farias and
yeah,
Justino and all them?
yeah, all of
Yeah.
them. You met them in Chuckawalla or Ironwood
Yeah.
or where?
Yeah. Chuckawalla. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, all them brothers, Brian, Joe
Brian.
Farias,
Yeah.
Jose Pronto,
Yeah.
all them
I never
cats.
met Jose in person, but I
Oh,
used to
okay.
hear a lot about him. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm there on the level 3. My points are about to drop. I don't want to go. I'm being hard headed. I get the CO to give me a 115 and jack my points back up. I'm there. I'm working in the education department. I got me a cool little job. I'm working for the GED teacher. I was the clerk in the GED class, so I got access to computer right there. So I'm learning how to type and how to use the computer. Had a cool celly. And was just doing my little thing right there, trying to make the best of it. Like I had said, I was a little older now, maturing a little more, so I'm not really poking my nose around in the nonsense. I'm really just trying to kick it and make the best of it. You know what I mean? That little seed is still in the back of my mind when they told me in the shoe if they see me again that I was never getting out of there. So, I'm kind of trying to make some little changes, but without really committing to a new life. You know what I mean? Just trying to kind of back up a little bit. So now my points are getting ready to drop again. At this time, the cell phones had got introduced, right? So we're using a cell phone, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm reconnecting with people that I haven't talked to in years. And I encounter a good friend of mine. I call her my homegirl, but she wasn't a homegirl from my neighborhood. She was in that lifestyle, but she was from a different neighborhood. But she was a cool friend. Her name was Mona. And talking to Mona on Facebook, and she had done time. She had just recently, at the time she and I reconnected, she had just recently got out from doing time. So we're chopping it up and I'm letting her know, like, hey, they're going to send me to level 2. I really don't want to go. And she gave me some wonderful advice, bro. She told me, she's like, look, she goes, this is a test for you. She says they want to test you to see if you can go, because she said what you said about dorms and all that. She said if you go, you're going to have to interact with all kinds of characters, all kinds of different personalities, people that ain't doing a lot of time, people that are dirty. You're going to have to be able to live there and not act out if you ever want to go home. It's a test. She said, going to level 2 would be the closest to being on the streets that you've ever been. And they want to see how you program. They want to see how you conduct yourself. And if you can go there and do good, that's going to show them that you're capable of going home and being a regular citizen. So I'm not really tripping about going home at the time because I don't believe it's possible. But that kind of hit me like, that's a good point. And then she said this. She said, and if you don't like it, you know how to get back. You know what to do. For real. That's what she told me straight like that.
No, I believe it.
Man, she was like, if you don't like it, you know what to do. You know how to get back. So I was like, you know what? You're right. So I'm going to go check it out. So I let it ride. I went to my annual. My points dropped. They put me up for transfer. They put me up for Chuckawalla, and I forget where else. But I ended up going to Chuckawalla, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Ironwood. So they put me on the bus. We pack my stuff. I get on the bus. The bus rolls about a block and stops, and they throw me off. And so there I go. I go through R&R, and they take me to my building, and I walk in, bro, and it's like, oh my God, there's 200 people just running loose in there. It's like what you said New Corcoran was like, except they don't have the fencing blocking each section off. It's just open. It has A, B, C, and they're pods. At the time, there was 5 bunks to a cubicle, 5 bunks to a cube with 2 people on each bunk. So 10 people in a cube. Some of the cubes on the bottom tier had triple bunks. That place was packed out, bro, like sardines. But there was literally the noise. People were running everywhere, yelling, music on, TVs on. It was just like
slamming dominoes,
playing cards. It was just crazy, bro. Coming from cell living to that, I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? And they put me in a cube.
Too much movement,
bro. I'm tripping. Like everybody's running by me and like, what the heck is going on here? So I seen some familiar faces and went and chopped it up with them. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this level 2 thing out. So this is 2010 that I go there. I was in Ironwood level 3 from 2005 to 2010. 2010, they shoot me to level 2 to Chuckawalla. And I come across someone you also might know that was in YA. At the time, they called him Junior from Compton, from the 7 O's.
I know him.
Good dude, man, real good dude. And I had known him from the level 4 days. Well, trip on this. This is where really now things start changing in my life. I get there and I see June. His name became Positive June. Positive June was on the positive tip now, going to groups and doing good stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm hanging out right there with Junior, and I'm hanging on the yard with him. And like I said, I know him from the level 4. And on the level 4 yards, he was a knucklehead. Just the way he talked was knucklehead. The way he thought was knucklehead. Everything he did was knucklehead. Totally different person now. Soft-spoken, very eloquent in his speech, very humble demeanor about him. So I'm tripping, right? I'm like, what the heck's going on with this cat, right? But I don't think nothing of it. And we're just there doing our thing. And I ran into some other people that I was with, back in the level 4 days, and the same. They're not, talking about the same kind of stuff they were talking about before, not having the aggressiveness that they had when I knew them before. And I'm kind of tripping out. I'm like, what's going on with these people? Well, they end up inviting me to church. Junior, hey man, you should come check the church out. And I'm like, church? What? What are you talking about? What do I want to go to church for? They having some food or something? That was the only time I had ever went to the chapel, on level 3 or level 4, when they were having some kind of event and they were giving away food. I might go and grab some food and then bounce real quick. But I had no kind of interest in at the time what I thought was religion. I had no interest in going to church, the chapel, none of that. So they're inviting me, hey, come check out the church. No, I'm cool. And I'm just there doing my little thing, going to yard, enjoying the freedoms of level 2, being able to come in and out of the building whenever you want. Yard is open all day, all night. We're just out there doing our thing. There was another homie right there. He was out of Orange County. At the time they called him Juice. And this brother was very instrumental in a life change. He had become a Christian. He had, got saved and given his life to the Lord. And he was a well-known figure, within the prison system. He had done a lot of things, was doing a lot of things, was a lifer also, heavily involved in gangs and all that stuff before he became a Christian. And this one particular night, he was going to be giving his testimony in the chapel. So everybody's going to go. They invited me. I'm like, no, I'm cool. Even the homies that were still, actively involved in stuff were going to go just because they knew him and wanted to show support. So everybody's like, come on, let's go to the chapel. No, I'm cool. So night yard opens, boom, everybody takes off to the chapel. Out of my crew that I'm kicking it with, I'm the only one still in their building. I'm like, man, I ain't got nobody to hang out with. So I throw on my blues and I decided to mob on over to the chapel as well. So I go, and because I got there late, I get a seat way in the back, and I'm just there, and homeboy's giving his testimony, and he's talking about, how he used to shoot heroin into his veins and how he's killed people, and he broke down, he starts crying, and he's talking about his gratefulness for what God has done in his life and how God changed his life, and how amazed he was that he could be what he called such a filthy person and still be loved by God and forgiven by God and accepted. And he's broken, bro. He's up there giving his testimony, and he's broken, and other people there are broken, and I'm tripping out like, what the heck is going on here? I ain't never seen nothing like this before in my life, right? But what's crazy is the longer I'm listening and I'm hearing, and now I'm starting to run back my own life to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I started having this weird feeling, which I know now was conviction of the Holy Spirit. But at the time, I didn't know what the heck that was. I was like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean? But I just brushed it off, whatever. Homeboy gave his testimony. We had some food. We bounced. And now people are inviting me back. And I mean, Justino, I got to know Justino. And they started running a class called Biblical Principles for Former Gang Members. And now that I'm there, I'm hearing people talk more about board. And I don't know if you know Brother Carlos Aceves. Carlos was there, and all these dudes are there that are going to board, and they have like study groups of people that are preparing for a board. And it was all about these, in these dudes' mind, they had a chance to go home, and they were like really board prepping and all that. And I'm not there yet. I'm not even on that level. I'm still just like, I'm trying to do my time and just chill. And but little by little, I'm like, I wonder if there's anything to this, So I got invited to take that workshop, that Biblical Principles for Former Gang Members workshop. At the time, I'm still a gang member. I'm not a former gang member, but I'm still an active gang member. But I go check out the class, and I liked it. I was learning some things that were cool. I was enjoying, the camaraderie that I was building there, and meeting people and hearing people from similar backgrounds as myself talking and all that kind of stuff. And it was really cool. So when the class ended, Justino was one of the facilitators. So when the class ended, I'm like, hey, bro, how can I be part of teaching this class? I really like what it's about, and I'd like to be part of teaching. And he's like, well, you got to start coming to church and coming to Bible study. It's a Christian-based class. So you'd have to be part of the church. So I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you anyway. And went about my business. Not too long after that, Justino ends up going home. Now, this is my first time with my own eyes watching a lifer walk out the gate. So I see him go home. I see him leave. The morning, he was in a different building, but I was up early looking out the window and watched him walk across the yard and go out the gate. That was when I was like, okay, it's possible. It's real. It can happen for me. Probably won't, but there's a chance. So now I'm still, gang member, all that, but I'm like, okay, let me start taking these little groups and seeing what's what. Start getting involved in groups. All the groups are being run through the chapel. So I'm spending time in the chapel, spending time around the Christian brothers because they're the ones that are facilitating the class. The chaplain is the one signing off on the classes. So more and more I'm spending time around the Christian brothers and spending more and more time in the chapel. And I actually started going to church, started going to the services. in my mind, just to go do something, right? Just going to hang out, something to do instead of being in the dorm. They had at that time something called intercessory prayer every Tuesday. Every Tuesday when the yard would open up at like 2:30, they would go to the chapel and they would raise up prayer requests, and everybody would pray for these prayer requests, right? Intercede for people. Start going to that. We're just there doing our thing, right? More and more, I'm starting to read the Bible, but in my mind, I'm just reading it like a book. I'm just learning information. But I'm reading the Bible. I'm going to church. I'm going to classes. One day, they are short of staff, so they don't open the yard. Well, in our building was most of the main Christian brothers that run the ministry there. So they're like, well, look, we're going to do intercessory prayer right here in the day room. Right? Since we can't go to the chapel and go to the yard, we'll have it right here in the day room. So brothers get in a circle, holding hands, blacks, Mexicans, whites, Asians, all right there in the middle of the building, bro. The whole world can see. There I go. I jump in. I get Asian dude's hand and I get a black dude's hand, and we're holding hands and we're praying and we're doing our thing, and we finish. Everybody's clapping and, you know, making their way to wherever they're going to go, back to their cube, to the day room, whatever. And it hits me like the whole world just seen me. Everybody looking at me, holding hands with people of different races, and seeing me down here praying. And I'm tripping now, like, I wonder what's going to happen now, right? Because for most of my experience, Christians didn't get treated very well on the level 4 yards and kind of on the level 3 a little bit. You know, the Christian brothers were kind of looked at funny by the homies, and there was times where it was all bad, you know. So now I'm tripping, like, who's seeing me and what are they going to have to say? So I'm heading back towards my bunk, and sure enough, out of the corner of my eye, I see movement. I look, here comes the homeboy that got the yard, and got a couple little cats with him, and they're mobbing straight towards me. So we make eye contact. So I just stop right there on the tier, and they come up to me, and homeboy gets right up close to me, and he's like, "Hey," goes, "So what are you, a Christian now or something?" And I knew that now I had to make a decision. What was I going to do? And it seemed like forever, but it was a few seconds in my mind. I was thinking, and I looked at him and I'm like, "Yeah, bro, I'm a Christian now." And I'm also thinking like, okay, get ready. Here it comes. You know what I mean? I'm already like starting to tighten up and brace because I'm thinking, here it comes. And he hugged me. He gave me a hug, and he's like, "Okay, bro, you got our blessing, but you know the consequences if you're dabbling in stuff you shouldn't dabble in. If you're gonna be a Christian to the fullest. You know what the consequences are if we find out that you're half stepping." And I was like, "Yeah, I know what's up." And he's like, "Okay, cool, you got our blessing." He hugged me. The other 2 cats that were with him hugged me. And that began my journey. That began my journey with the Lord, bro.
Wow.
After that, I went to the Christian brothers and was like, "Hey, I want to give my life to the Lord." They prayed with me, gave my life to the Lord. I started introducing myself to people by my given name, by Jim. I no longer, I stopped introducing myself by a nickname in a neighborhood, and got fully immersed. Bible studies, going to church, started serving in the little ministry we had there. As new people would drive up that I knew from level 4, level 3 in the past, people would drive up and I would recognize somebody, and right away I'd go and pull them to the side. Let them know, "Hey, look, bro, the person you knew before, so-and-so, that's not me no more. I don't go by that no more. My name is Jim. I'm a Christian. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because I'm giving you the option. Do you still want to mess with me or not? If you don't, I won't be offended. I understand. I'm cool with it. If you do, I'm just letting you know that the same stuff we used to do before and talk about before, I'm not with that no more. So it's up to you. It's up to you. Do you still want to mess with me or not?" And I say I did that probably like 8 to 9 times, bro. And not a one of them had anything negative to say. All of them embraced me, congratulated me, wished me the best, and continued to be my friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there I am on a level 2, now walking as a Christian brother. Now the possibility of going home is real to me. I'm doing all the groups, doing all that kind of stuff. And I go to my first board hearing. I go, and this, when I converted, when I got saved, was 2011. 2011 was the last time I did some dope. 2011 was the last time I introduced myself by a nickname in a neighborhood. 2011 was when I accepted the Lord and started living different and started, preparing for board. 2013, I go to my first board hearing. Long hearing. They're running back everything from my childhood to present day, grilling me with questions. There's 3 people on the panel, 1 commissioner and 2 deputy commissioners. My mom had hired me a private lawyer for my board hearing, and go through all their questioning, all that, and now it's time for deliberation. So what that means is that now is the time where they're going to talk amongst themselves to determine whether they're going to grant me parole or not. So they send me out. The officer takes me to a holding tank, and they're in there having their little conference. I'm in the holding tank, and I'm saved now. I'm a Christian. So what do? We pray. So I'm in the holding tank. I get on my knees and I start praying, and I'm like, God, I want to go home. I miss my family. I miss my friends. I want to build a relationship with my son. I want to go home. Please let me go home. It was about me, though. Trip on this. My prayer was very selfish. It was about me. I want to go home. I'm tired of being here. I miss my friend. I. They come and get me, hey, they're ready for you. So I go back in the thing. They tell me they're denying me parole for a period of 3 years. They think that I still have a gang member's way of thinking. And let me run down really quick what brought them to that conclusion. So when they're questioning me about the crime, remember I had said that we were jacking the dope man, and I ended up shooting and killing somebody in the process. Mm-hmm. So, and I took a plea bargain. I pled guilty to murder. I didn't plead to robbery. They dropped the robbery charge. I pled guilty to a straight first-degree murder. So during the course of the hearing, and they're asking me about what took place and all that, they asked me about the robbery. So were you part of the robbery? And I panicked because I'm not prepared for that, because in my mind, well, I'm not in prison for robbery, so I'm not going to have to answer for robbery. So I never really processed that part of what happened that night. So when they asked me, were you part of the robbery? I freeze up and I'm like, no. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, wasn't involved in no robbery. So the lady grabs the papers and she's looking through and she goes, so she gave a name. So-and-so says that he saw you. He's lying? I'm like, yeah, he's lying. She flips some more pages. Okay, how about this person named so-and-so that identified you as being part of the robbery? They're lying too? Yeah, they're lying too. The whole party's lying. Everybody was high. They don't know what they're talking about. They're lying. They're like, okay. So because of the fact that I was the one lying, because in my mind, we're taught when you're in that life, you're taught to deny everything, even if you're red-handed. Mm-hmm. You could have it in your hand, and no, I didn't steal it, and it's in your hand. You know what I mean? And we're still going to deny, because that's just what we're taught to do.
Yep.
So that came back out of me. That old way of thinking resurfaced. So that's where they were like, okay, well, you still think like a gang member, so you're not ready yet. So they gave me a 3-year denial. So about a year goes by. I'm, still programming with the brothers. I'm going to church, all that kind of stuff. I'm growing in my faith. I'm maturing in the things of God. Still doing different self-help groups and working in the college. I was the college clerk, and I'm just there doing my thing. Excuse me. I get a letter in the mail. They're going to take me back to board. I didn't ask to go back to board. I didn't file a 1045. I didn't do I didn't 602 it. I didn't do nothing. I was fully ready to go 3 years and then go back to my hearing. Well, I get a letter in the mail a year later saying, in 6 months, you have this board date. So I ended up going back to the board a year and a half from the first time I went versus the 3 years that they had originally denied me for.
Yeah.
So I go back to board, and this time it's a 2-member panel, and it was 2 totally different people from my first panel. So the same thing, same questions come up, and then they come up with a thing about, the robbery. Were you part of the robbery? Yes, sir, I was. Okay, why did you lie at the last panel? Why did you? And I explained to them, because I did have that little remnant still of criminal thinking, deny everything. In my mind, I rationalized that I wasn't in prison for robbery, so I don't have to answer to that. So my way of dealing with that was to deny it. And they're like, okay. Kept on with the questioning. The part of the deliberation comes in again. Same thing. They take me down to the holding tank so they can talk among themselves and decide what they're going to do. Again, I know what to do in times of crisis. I get on my knees. I'm crying out to God. But this time my prayer changed. This time the prayer was, God, if you want me to stay in here for the rest of my life and serve you, then that's what I'm going to do.
Man.
But if you have something for me to do out there, send me out there to do it. Excuse me. If you have something out there for me to do, send me out there to do it. And I go back in and they tell me, we're finding you suitable for parole. And I got just like I am right now. I just started crying and praising God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. This time I had a state appointed lawyer. I didn't, I told my mom, no, don't pay for a lawyer again this time because I'm probably going to get denied again. So I had a state appointed lawyer and he's slapping me on my back and he's all excited. And I'm just there broken, bro, just crying, thanking God. So they finished with the hearing. They read me all the stuff, told me that so what they do, for those that don't know about the board process, what they do is they set your term. They determine how much time your crime should carry, how many years, and then figure out, okay, how long have you already been in and how many credits do you have? And then they figure out if you still owe them time or if you've done more time than what you should have. So they set my term at 29 years. I had only been in 24 at the time. So they told me, okay, we're setting your term at 29 years, which means you still owe 5 years. So I was prepared to still have to do 5 years. That could have came down by continuing to do programs and stuff like that and earn good time credits. I could have brought that down a little bit, but I was fully prepared to do 5 more years. But I'm like, hey, that's 5 more years. That's nothing. I've already been down 24. I get to go home in 5 years. Cool. Let's do this. So, I come back to the building and jump on the phone and call my people and let them know what happened and all that. Now, again, for those that don't really know the board process, the board does not make the final determination. What they do is they make a recommendation to the governor, and the governor can choose to either go with their recommendation or to say no and overturn it. And there's a time process for that. There's 120 days for the full board to review their decision, and then it goes to the governor, and the governor has 30 days to make his decision. Now, it's probably not actually the governor himself looking at your stuff. He probably has a team that does that on his behalf. But then they let him know, hey, this is what we think, and then he signs off one way or the other. So I know that I have at least 5 months to wait to hear something back. Right. So I'm going about my day, just like, whatever. I got 5 months until I know for sure what's going on. So I'm doing my thing. 2 months go by, 3 months go by, 4 months. And I'm in the building one day. I'm in my cube, myself and an African-American brother. We're right there chopping it up. And they call my name over the loudspeaker. McGrath, report to the program office. Now, it's never good when they call you to the program office. Typically, you're either in trouble, or sometimes when people lose a family member, if there's like a death in the family or something like that, they'll call you to the program office to inform you, right? Oh. I've never had a good experience of being called to the program office. So when they call my name over the loudspeaker, the first thing in my head is my mom. Oh, man, something happened to my mom. And my partner in the queue, he's like, nah, fool, you're going home. And I'm like, nah, they're calling me to the program. It's got to be something bad, right? My mom probably passed away or something. So I'm like all messed up in the head, man. I'm walking over there. I'm trudging across the yard. And I get over there and I knock, and the clerk opens the door and he's like, yeah, they called you. Hold on. So then the counselor comes and he's like, you're McGrath? I'm like, yeah. He's like, come in. So I go in and he tells me, sit down. He says, you're the college clerk, right? I said, yeah. He said, do you like your job? I said, yeah, I like my job a lot. And he says, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but I got to take that job from you. So now I'm tripping like, what you mean you're going to take my job from me? He says, yeah, because you're going home next week. Bro, I fell out, literally fell out of my chair onto the floor, crying.
Wow.
Sounded like the dude in the holding tank back when I got sentenced. couldn't talk. So there's another lady counselor there. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And I'm just crying, bro. I'm just so happy. You know what I mean? Just tears of joy.
Wow.
So I dry my little face off, and the counselor gives me these, sign these parole papers, all that stuff. He tells me you're going home next Wednesday. I think it was like a Thursday they were telling me, and they're like, you're going home next Wednesday. I was like, all right, cool. So signed all my little papers, all that. At Chuckawalla on Sea Yard, where I was at, the program office and the chapel are right next door to each other. So I zipped from the program office, I zipped straight into the chapel. And the brothers, some of the brothers are in there, chapel clerk and some of the brothers, and I'm crying, broken. And they're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What happened? And I'm sounding just like that dude in the holy tank that day. They're like, what's wrong? What happened? I'm going home. Everybody started clapping, and I run to the altar, bro. I ran to the altar and just threw myself on the floor right there, and I'm just praising God, thanking God, broken, crying, just praising the Lord. And finally, get myself together. The brothers are embracing me. I'm like, man, I gotta go call my mom. You know what I mean? So I zip back to the building, and I jump on the phone, and I call my mom, and I'm like, she's answering. Hey, mijo, how's everything going? I'm good, Mom. I'm like, hey, what are you doing next Wednesday? And she's like, working. Why? I said, because I need a ride home. And all I heard was the phone drop. I'm like, Mom. She gets back on the phone and she's crying. She's like, you better not be playing with me. I'm like, Mom, I'm going home. I need you to come get me next Wednesday.
Man.
She's like, okay, I'll be there. And so that, like I said, that was a Thursday. Our services were on Saturday. We had Saturday night service. So that Saturday night service came, they asked me to speak, kind of just, share my testimony about board a little bit with everybody and, be able to say my goodbyes and all that. So I did that Saturday. So, and that was hard, bro. I was up there broken, crying. Just cause I felt like I was leaving people behind that I cared about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I had developed, a brotherhood, with the brothers there. I developed true friendships and true relationships with other Christians, and even with people that weren't Christians, but just, that we were cool. We were friends, and they came just to hear me speak. And so I got to, let everybody know that, hey, this is real. You can do it too. If God did it for me, he can do it for you. Did that. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was just, getting my stuff together, giving away stuff that I was going to give away, figuring out what I was going to take home with me. That day, that Tuesday night, I didn't sleep a wink. Waited for them to, still in the back of my head was like, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen, and I'm not going to go home. So the night before, I'm waiting to get called for my ducat. Matter of fact, let me see. I think I still got my release ducat. Still got my little release ducat. It's laminated.
What the heck?
I still got my ducat. For 10 years, I've been holding on to this thing. I keep it right here close. So they called me to the podium to give me my ducat to parole the next morning. Everybody was cheering when I went down and to get it. The Houdans, congratulated me. Was like, take care of yourself, whatever. That next morning came.
Yeah.
Got up early, got my shower, stepped out. My mom, my brother, and my niece were waiting there to greet me. I have a video up on my YouTube channel. My brother recorded it, but this is 2015, and he didn't have a good phone with a good camera, so it's like really grainy. I got to figure out how I can get that thing redone. But yeah, so I'm hugging my mom, and we do all that, and we cry, and we get in the car. I'm like, let's go before they change their mind, So we take off. We take off, and of course, like everybody else, I want to go eat. I want to go have some real food. So Chuckawalla is in the city of Blythe. So we go to a Denny's right there. And I'll kind of wrap it up with this because this is funny. We go and we get seated, and the waitress brings the menus, and she brings the little rolls of utensils, they're wrapped up inside a napkin. And she puts one in front of all of us, and we're right there. So I'm looking at my menu, and I want a ham and cheese omelet, bro. Now that's the first thing I had to eat after being in prison for 24 years. They give me a ham and cheese omelet. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for them to bring the food, I open up my little silverware roll, and there's a steak knife in there, and I freeze. I'm looking at it, and I look up at my mom, and I'm looking around, and my mom can see on my face that I'm tripping. She's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Mom, there's a knife in here." And she's like, "Yeah, you're in a restaurant." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. There's a knife in here, and if I get caught with this, they're gonna take me back." And my mom started crying. She's like, "Mijo, they're not gonna take you back. You can have that. You're in a restaurant." But I was legit tripping, bro. I was like, I pushed it away. I pushed it away from me. I was like, I can't have that. And she's like, "Son, it's okay." And I had to really like get a hold of myself because I was tripping over this steak knife that was in the utensil roll.
Yeah.
But I knocked that omelet down though. I knocked that ham and cheese omelet down. We took it was a long drive home, like 5-6 hour drive home. Went home, got to stay the night at home, and then had to go to the transitional program the next day. Did 90 days in the transitional program. Went to live at my mom's. Got plugged into a church. Started going to Victory Outreach in the city of Palmdale. Crazy too. I got a video up about this on my YouTube channel. That went out in a couple of days from the service that I spoke at to the time I went home. In those few days, a lot of brothers were coming and giving me encouragement and advice. And I'll never forget, one of the brothers was like, "Look, bro," he's like, "You're young in the faith. You're a baby Christian." He goes, "So it's important for you to get plugged into a church when you get out." He's like, "You got to find you a good Bible teaching church to get plugged into. Whatever you do not go to Victory Outreach." Right. And I'm like, I don't know nothing about the ministry at the time.
Yeah.
I had seen the Duke of Earl play, you know what I mean? But I didn't know anything about the ministry. So I'm like, "Why not? What's wrong with Victory Outreach?" And he's like, "Bro, their pastors are cholos and they still talk like gang members and dress like gang members, and it'll be easy for you to fall back into that lifestyle. So I don't advise you go to a Victory Outreach." Well, that's exactly where the Lord led me. I ended up going to Victory Outreach. And really the reason why I chose to go to Victory Outreach here in my hometown was because I knew people that went there. Two of my former homeboys that had also got saved were there. They were part of the leadership. So I wanted to go somewhere where I knew people. I didn't want to just walk into a church not knowing anybody and be like, "Hi, I just got out of prison for murder," and thinking they'll look at. They probably would have sent me to Victory Outreach anyway. They probably would have been like, "We know a church for you here." So I went to Victory Outreach. Been there now 10 years. What kept me there initially, of course, is I know that's where God put me at, but the pastor, the pastor's wife, the leaders, the congregation all embraced me, welcomed me despite my past, loved on me, were there for me. And, true to what the ministry is known for, 90% of the people have the same background as me. So, or come from that background, or their family comes from that background or something. So I was able to fit right in. And been there ever since, bro. Been there 10 years now, serving in ministry, serving the Lord. By no means am I perfect. By no means is my walk perfect. But the Lord has definitely blessed me in many, many ways, kept me. I never went back to prison, never violated parole. I've only been sitting in the back of a police car one time since I've been out. And that was just because the hood was kind of scary because I was on parole. I got speeding ticket. I've had, well, now 3. I got one a couple weeks ago. I've had 3 speeding tickets in these 10 years that I've been home. That's the only police involvement I've had. I'm active in my community, active in my church. I work in the reentry field. I worked the last 6 years at a nonprofit agency doing reentry work, helping other people that get out of jail and prison to find resources they need to reacclimate to being back in society. I just recently started with the county, which is, a blessing in itself. I never thought that someone with my background could have a county job, but the Lord opened the door for me to be able to be working for the county now, continuing to help people. And I'm just blessed, bro. Just living a blessed life.
Amen. Amen. Hey, bro. So you've been home 10 years now?
I've been home 10 years. This past June was 10 years that I've been home.
And did you do the 3-year, bro?
So because I had a first degree murder and I was on lifetime parole, they technically could have kept me for the remainder of my life if they would have deemed that to be necessary. My parole agent had, when I first came home, told me that after 7 years I could get off. What a lot of what I was hearing was that after 5 years I could be reviewed and possibly discharged from parole.
Mhm.
So at my 5 year mark, I asked my parole agent, I'm like, hey, I've been 5 years now with no violations, no dirty tests, nothing. Um, can we apply for me to get discharged? And he was like, oh no, they don't do that. You have to do the 7 years. The DA would not agree with it. And in my head, I'm like, the DA has nothing to do with it. It's just the board. You know what I mean? You just got to file something in and say I'm ready to go. I'm saying this to myself. Right? I don't tell him, but I'm just like, so you're not gonna. He was like, nah. He goes, after your 7 years, we'll talk about it. Okay, cool. So some of the brothers advised me, write to the board myself, write yourself directly to the board and just lay out for them everything you've been doing since you've been home. Just like when you went to the board, tell them
Yeah.
about church, tell them about what you do for a living, tell them about being married, tell them all this stuff. So I did. I wrote a letter to the board and gave them a layout of everything that I do, everything I'm involved in, everything I'm doing,
Mhm.
sent it off. About 6 months later, my parole agent calls me. He's like, hey, you sitting down? I'm like, no, should I be? And he's like, yeah, sit down. So I sat down. I'm like, "What's up?" He said, "Congratulations, you're off parole."
Oh, that's
So I did. I
awesome.
did. I did like 5.5, bro, on parole.
Oh, you did almost like me because I know. So for me, when I came out, and like I told you in 2003, I was like one of the first lifers, hit that wave, right? So they kept me on almost 6 years, and I was on high control parole with the
Mm.
curfew the
Woo.
whole time, bro. The
Uh-huh.
whole time. But I was doing legit, bro. I mean, as soon as
Yeah.
I got
Right.
out, I mean, I was working. I had a place, I went through residential first, but
Right.
yeah,
Right.
they were like, yeah, we had to keep an eye on you, you know what I mean? So yeah, I had a
Nah.
curfew and everything, but no violations, no nothing, you know what I
Nah.
mean? So
And all by the grace of God, bro. All
yeah,
because
that's it.
I tell people a lot. I know I keep plugging my YouTube channel. I keep saying I have video. I have a video too about this. That what is the difference between being a Christian in prison and being a Christian out here on the streets? Is it harder? Is
Mm,
one harder versus the other?
mhm.
And it's harder out here on the street. We have our
Yeah,
freedom
it
and we
is.
have all that, but there's way more temptation out here. There's way more things you can get into. In prison, like the homeboy had told me, there's consequences. If we catch you slipping up, there's
Mm,
consequences. So that
mhm.
in itself keeps you in line because you don't want to have to
Yes,
face
sir.
those consequences. Out here, you don't have that. Out
Yeah,
here, nobody's gonna beat you up if you have a drink or if you're watching porn or whatever. The Holy Spirit
exactly.
gonna put some hands on you, but
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about being physically assaulted. So you don't have that like keeping you on the straight and narrow.
yeah,
And there's so much more opportunity to backslide out here. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's not an easy walk to be on, but God has kept me. Obviously, He's kept you. You know what I mean?
Man,
He has me planted in a great church under the leadership of great pastors. I have an awesome helper. My rib is right there with me. You know what I
amen.
mean? And just living life again. Like I said earlier, am I perfect? By far, no. I still have
Mhm.
issues. I have things that God is working out in my life. There's still things that God needs to work on in me, and I'm letting Him do that. And it's a process. But by no means am I the person I used to be. When the Bible talks about being a new person, when you come to the Lord, it's definitely a change. Definitely can change you and change your life for the better. My life now
Amen.
is beautiful. My worst day out here beats my best day in there anytime. You know what I mean?
Mm.
All by the grace of God, bro.
Amen. Amen, bro. Wow, bro. We're over 2 hours now, man. I
Woo, good
told you
Lord.
you were just
It went
going
by.
flow.
It went
You've
by
been
quick, man.
Yeah, you were flowing, bro. We could probably still go for another 2 hours, bro, but hey, brother, man, listening to your story, though, it brought back some great memories for myself, especially, like, your board hearing. Hey, I got called to the program office at nighttime, like 9:30 at
Woo.
night, right? And my CC1 was there, and when they were calling my name, like you said, nobody wants to go to the program office, you know what I mean?
Right.
Especially by yourself after hours, because
Ooh-wee.
the program
Right.
office is also where, fools be dropping kites and, it's just a bad situation,
Right.
right? So they're
Right.
calling me out and everybody's looking at me. I'm like, and they're like, "What's up?" I was like, "I don't know, fool. I was right with you guys, you know?"
Right.
So I ended up going when I come back because I ended up going to an embankment hearing, bro, because the
Okay.
governor revoked my parole, right?
Right.
So it ended up being submitted to embankment hearing. and all commissioners, in an embankment hearing, that's when your case goes before all 7 commissioners,
Right.
and it's a whole complete hearing without me. My family was able to go as character witnesses. Some of the my chaplain from Corcoran was
Mm.
there. Some of the staff members, because I was a residential counselor in New Corcoran. It's a sap yard, right? So
Yeah. Right.
I ended up doing. I went to college in there. Ended up becoming a drug and alcohol counselor while in there, and so they went. So I had all these witnesses go up to Sacramento for me,
Mm.
and they didn't let them know that I was being released. So later on that night at 9:30 at night is when CDC got the paperwork or whatever. And my
Mm.
counselor, my CC1, I'm like, "What the heck are you doing here?" He said, "Hey, you're going home tomorrow. We got to sign these papers right now. Like,
Oh,
where are you
dang.
going?" So it
Right.
wasn't even like 24 hours of notice that I was being
Ooh,
released, bro.
man.
Yeah, and when I
Praise
got
God.
back, everybody was excited, you know what I mean? We were already locked down in the rooms and stuff,
Right.
and, I told everybody, they were like, "What, you're going home?" I was like, "Yeah," and I couldn't
Man.
sleep that night either, like you.
Right. Right.
I didn't have a week or a few days to pass out stuff, so I
Right.
just left everything in my Sally, right? And I was
Right.
like, "Here, fool, take everything." All I took was my pictures and my legal work, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's it. Everything else, I was like, I'm done, you know? But,
Man.
man, I'm just grateful for, you finding the Lord Jesus Christ while in
Amen.
there and having
Amen.
that moment of, that encounter with God, bro. It's hey, I tell people out here, man, when they go in and out of the faith, they're always bouncing around like not a real
Right.
commitment. I tell, man, you need to go get saved in prison, bro, where you just have that
Right.
encounter and come
Right.
out here and be committed and grateful and
Yes.
ready to, be a good soldier of the faith, bro. Because keep
Right.
on playing games out here, man. You need to go get right. You know what I mean?
Mhm. No,
Because
it's
like you were
understand.
saying, bro, I witnessed that a lot. Guys playing defense. You know what I mean?
Right.
And hey, ended up bad for a whole lot of so-called Christians. And I felt
Right.
bad a few times. You know what I mean? Because I
Did we lose them? I guess it's just me and y'all. I think we lost our host. We'll give him a couple of more minutes to get back on. See if he reconnects.
hey.
There we go. No, we still got you. I was about to start entertaining the people, bro.
Oh yeah, I was like, wow, they kicked me out. I don't know what happened, man. It's saying something about being forced shut off. But hey, let me just thank you, bro, before it kicks me out again, man. I
Of
just
course.
appreciate your time. Thank you for that wonderful story. If you don't mind praying us out, bro, pray us out before it kicks
Oh,
me
for
out
sure.
again.
And if you don't mind, real quick, I just want to plug my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you don't mind, go check me out. It's Changed Man for Life. Maybe later on when you put it as a video, you could drop the link in there or something. But just come check my channel out and support. I appreciate it very much. But let's go ahead and pray out. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's go before the throne of God. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, I just thank you for this time with my brother, Lord. I thank you for all those that spent these couple of hours listening to my story, dear God, listening to the things that you brought me through and that you rescued me from, Lord God. And I just pray right now, Lord God, if there's anyone listening, Lord, that does not have a relationship with you, God, I pray, Lord God, that you would just touch their heart, Lord God. I pray that this testimony, this podcast would have planted a seed on their heart, dear God, that they would see all that's going on in the world right now, dear God, and that they would know, Lord God, that there has to be an answer, Lord. There has to be more. There has to be something better. That answer is Jesus Christ. I thank you, Lord God, for the testimonies that will come out from those who are tuning in, dear God. I thank you for the lives that will be changed. I thank you for those that will cry out to you, Lord, for those that will seek a different life, Lord God, in you. I thank you for this brother, dear God. I thank you for what he's doing with his podcast, that he's using his life, dear God, to be an example to others, dear God, and to be a blessing with what you've blessed him with, dear God. We thank you, we love you, we praise you. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, brother, man. Much love, man. Keep up the
Appreciate
good
you,
work,
bro.
man. And hey,
Talk to
whenever
you
you're down
soon.
here in the LA area, man, hit me up, bro.
For sure.
Go break some bread or something.
For sure. Sounds
Amen.
good, bro. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. You be blessed, man. Well, we'll talk
You as
soon.
well. God
Amen.
bless.
Hey guys, if you haven't already, click the subscribe, the like, all that good stuff, man. Do that right now before we log off. And I'll see you next week. You guys have a blessed work week, and God bless you guys. You guys have a good one.